Just before the long weekend, CoinDesk broke the story that U.S. officials pinning down North Korea as being behind the biggest hack in DeFi history. So this elite North Korean hacking group, Lazarus, is tied to the more than $600 million theft of cryptocurrency from the Axie Infinity-linked Ronin bridge. And joining us now is CoinDesk Deputy Business Editor and Scoop Machine, Danny Nelson. Good morning, Danny. So do you have an update on this story? Because throughout the weekend, also the reporting, I saw that they've been, North Korea, this hacking group has been trying to launder this money. So anything new?
So the last I checked, they haven't been laundering anymore, but I don't know if that's necessarily because of these sanctions. I highly doubt that. It might just be because they're laying low for a little bit. But right before the weekend going into it, we did see the hacking group continue to launder funds through Tornado Cash in a very specific manner, very strategic. They're really going to get as much money as they can out as fast as they can, rather than working a little slower and more efficiently, perhaps, in a way that might preserve some of their funds.
And perhaps more importantly, tell us how you broke the story. Walk us through the process.
So I was just sitting at my desk and checking the Treasury OFAC page, as one always does, and I came across a new sanctions designation for the Lazarus group for a single Ethereum wallet. I plugged that into Nansen, which is a wallet profiling website. You could also be using Etherscan. You would have found the same thing. And I discovered that this North Korean crypto wallet, the alleged North Korean crypto wallet, was the same wallet that drained the Ronin bridge about a month ago. That, of course, was the $620 million Axie Infinity hack. And at that point, I started shaking, and I thought, oh my goodness, Treasury is alleging that North Korea hacked Axie Infinity. Wow. So I immediately called some people I know in the tracing industry, and they picked up the phone. They said, we know why you're calling. And yes, that's exactly what it is, before I even asked the question.
That's spooky. But in terms of let's step back a bit and explain this to me the way you normally explain things to me, which is explain to me like I'm an idiot, because I am. And what exactly was this, the Ronin bridge hack? And can you go into what led us and what North Korea's interest was in it?
Well, I can't. I'm good at finding things. I'm not necessarily quite good at explaining the tech behind them. For I, like you, am a fellow idiot. But I can say I can give you the big picture why behind all of this. North Korea has been hacking crypto exchanges for years now. They've been going after hundreds of $millions in what really can be seen as easy money, and that's because North Korea doesn't really generate much revenue elsewhere. They export coal to China. They really don't do much else other than that. And so having this elite hacking group that can go around the world hacking crypto exchanges, draining them, laundering it, and turning it into currency that they can use is really worth their while. And that's what they've been doing. This is not a one-off. We've seen for a long time now North Korean hackers attacking crypto exchanges and now also projects.
I've spoken to current and former government officials, and they've continuously expressed concern about North Korea's involvement in the crypto markets. Do we have a sense of how much they've hacked so far, at least how much we know they've hacked? They might have hacked a lot more than what we know, but do we even have a running tally of just how much money has gone to North Korea?
So going into this hack, I think the latest estimates had been north of 400 million. And so I think that we can safely say that North Korean hackers are alleged to have pilfered over $1 billion in cryptocurrencies. I don't know if that's all been turned into usable money for them. In the case of Axie Infinity in the Ronin hack, we still see the vast majority of the funds are locked up, or not locked up, but they're left in that sanctioned wallet. So it's not a done deal yet, but they have attacked.
And they haven't put out any rap albums, any rap singles.
Not quite yet.
Correct?
I'm excited for it, though.
Yeah, we're waiting for it to drop.
When we first heard about this Ronin hack, there was a lot of criticisms. There's some people saying, "Oh, these hackers are amateurs because they're putting the hacked funds on centralized exchanges," and so I want to follow up with that. Is that the case? And I understand they're putting it through Tornado Cash. So maybe you can explain to viewers what Tornado Cash is and how this can possibly be traced or not.
Yeah, so at the very beginning of the hack, or right after, they were cashing out some of the tokens that they'd stolen through centralized exchanges, moving quickly. I think they got around 14 million out that way. But that's the type of action you have to do really quickly because you can easily put a stop to it just by telling those exchanges to knock it off. What they then turned to was a service called Tornado Cash, which is a privacy-focused mixing service on the Ethereum blockchain that mixes lots of different wallets, coins together, and spits it out in a way that makes it really difficult to trace. So I myself can't follow the money once it goes through Tornado Cash. It is unclear if big companies such as Chainalysis and TRM have that capacity. I know that they claim to have that capacity for other mixing services on other chains, but they've gotten $80 million through Tornado Cash so far, and there's about 140,000 ETH still in this crypto wallet that remains to be laundered.
So if they did succeed in getting some money out of centralized exchanges, that has KYC, know your customer rules. So are they able to find and single out who that individual was?
Well, presumably if they were working through centralized exchanges, yes, there would be an entity or an individual that is tied to the final cash out. But you have to remember, these are elite nation-state hackers. They've hacked central banks before. They're very sophisticated. There are ways of getting around centralized exchanges, KYC, protocols, as our reporter Anna Baidakova has shown in the past. And so I think that you might be able to find individuals on the ends of those transactions, but I don't know if that will get us any closer to answering the question or taking action.
So what exchanges were doing this? I mean, it sounds more KFC than KYC.
Well, that's a pretty fried joke right there. But I will say I don't know specifically the exchanges that were taking this money in the earliest days of the hack. I wasn't following the Axie Ronin hack right at that stage, but I could only assume that it wasn't an exchange such as Coinbase. It was probably one farther afield that might have a less stringent identity checks.
So know who your exchange is, because that will maybe tell you who you might be trading against. You might end up, sending some Bitcoin to Kim Jong-un without even realizing it.
I guess the other criticism
Too soon.
Too soon. The other question, I suppose, was, does the U.S. underestimate North Korea's capabilities and just how sophisticated they are in crypto, or maybe they don't. And that's why Gary Gensler is refusing to allow for a Bitcoin ETF because he's concerned about market manipulation and all these other factors out there that could be stimulating the crypto markets.
Well, I think it's safe to assume that North Korea isn't really concerned so much with Bitcoin. The hack here involved Ethereum, or it resulted in Ethereum, in Ether. I would say, though, that the U.S. is not underestimating the powers of the North Korean government as a hacking entity, and that's exactly why only 1 month after this hack, we see them issuing sanctions against North Korean hacking group's crypto wallet. They do this not because they're genuinely concerned, I would think, that this wallet that is already known to be holding stolen funds will otherwise interact with exchanges, but they're doing it to tell the world, look, North Korea has this capacity. They're stealing hundreds of millions of dollars, and according to past reports by the UN, they're doing this in part to fund their weapons program, and that takes this issue and it elevates it to one of national security. And I would say that the U.S. government is taking a very concerted effort, taking a very deep look at this issue, and they're trying to tell the world not to underestimate the Lazarus group.
Yeah, interesting. The U.S. Treasury Department also announced that this hack happened, and they understand it's from North Korea. I wondered, is there any further information from what agencies are involved in trying to figure out next steps?
Yeah, I think that the FBI has put out a statement and that would indicate that they are looking into this as well. And Ronin has put out a statement saying that thanking the FBI for investigating this. So I would say that the FBI is on this case, Treasury is on this case. I can only assume that the White House is at least aware of something of this magnitude. Probably they didn't care so much when Ronin was hacked, but when it was discovered that North Korea had hacked $600 million, that's something that you probably want to stay aware of.
So if it looks like we have at least $1 billion hacked by North Korea, does that make North Korea the largest state player that we know of that's participating in this kind of hacking? In general, or is this yeah?
I think that we can assume that. I don't know of any other country that would really find it worth their while to go on this aggressive state-sponsored campaign of attacking crypto exchanges. It's just not worth the effort. They have economies. They have ways of generating gross national product. With North Korea, you really have the Hermit Kingdom, as it's been called for years now, and they already are an outlier in the global arena. It's not going to change their pretty bad position in the world whether or not they're going after crypto exchanges.